What if the message you're hearing right now isn't random, but a deliberate alignment between your inner state and the field that surrounds you? Maybe the words you're about to absorb are not new information, but a coded reflection of something your energy already whispered to the universe. Every signal you meet, this one included, arises from the resonance between what you seek and what seeks you. Quantum reality doesn't deliver by accident, it mirrors coherence. So before analyzing the meaning, pause for a heartbeat and sense the quiet recognition inside you. That subtle vibration is the reason this message found you today. You are not a static being moving through a passive universe. You are a field, vibrating, responsive, and continually recalibrating itself. Every thought, every subtle emotional tone alters the quantum information you emit. The physics behind conscious attraction isn't mystical poetry. It is resonance at work. Just as two tuning forks vibrate in sympathy when tuned to the same note, the field of your awareness synchronizes with events and people that match its frequency. The signal that brought you here was not transmitted across distance. It was evoked by coherence between what you unconsciously broadcast and what was already oscillating nearby. Think of your attention as a particle and a wave at once. As a particle, it localizes, focusing on a goal, an image, a question. As a wave, it radiates, influencing probabilities beyond what you can perceive. When your focus is scattered, the wavefront breaks, and the universe responds with noise, fragments, coincidences that feel accidental. But when your focus is clean and emotionally charged with clarity, rather than desperation, the wave becomes structured. That structure is what ancient mystics called alignment, and what modern quantum physicists might describe as coherence between observer and field. The observer effect is not just a laboratory curiosity. It's a lived dynamic. Each time you bring awareness to something, you collapse potential into form. But here's what most people miss. Collapse doesn't mean control. It means participation. You are not bending reality to your will. You are participating in its unfolding through the quality of your observation. When you approached this message, something in your field had already begun to stabilize around a new frequency, one that could recognize meaning where before there was only noise. Conscious attraction begins with the integrity of your internal measurement system. Ask yourself, how do you measure your life's outcomes? Through frustration, fear, or curiosity? Each emotional lens is a frequency filter. The more you measure from fear, the more your field interprets reality as threat. The more you measure from curiosity, the more your field organizes information as possibility. In physics, we say that the measuring device affects the experiment. In consciousness, your emotional state is that device. You might notice that in recent days, small coincidences have appeared. Songs repeating, phrases echoing, numbers aligning. Those are not random decorations, they are feedback loops. Each one tests whether you remain aware enough to notice the pattern without clinging to it. The universe does not speak in words but in harmonics, and your awareness is the receiver. When you relax the need to interpret everything, the signal clears, and attraction turns from effort into rhythm. Imagine standing before a still lake at dawn. When your mind is agitated, your frequency sends ripples across the surface, distorting the reflection. You see fragments of sky instead of the whole image. But as your breath steadies, the surface smooths, and the reflection resolves. The message that finds you at such a moment is sharper, because the field can now mirror without distortion. That is the actual physics of attraction in daily form. Coherence equals clarity of reflection. Your body is part of this measurement system too. Every cell vibrates within electromagnetic ranges that respond to thought and emotion. Gratitude, presence, and curiosity produce measurable coherence in the heart's rhythm and brain's waves. This coherence is not metaphorical. It is a form of quantum order that allows information to travel with less resistance. The moment you soften into awareness, instead of trying to manifest outcomes, the field reorganizes faster. Conscious attraction is not about summoning things. It's about tuning into the frequency where those things already exist. Let yourself feel the subtle evidence. There is a tingling, a calm alertness, a sense of being looked back at by reality itself. That sensation is not imagination. It is your nervous system syncing with the informational field that has been waiting for your attention to stabilize. When you feel it, hold still for a few seconds. Breathe into it, not as a ritual, but as a measurement. Notice how the sense of distance between you and the world softens. That blur is the true signal of resonance. From a purely scientific lens, attraction can be modeled as phase alignment, when two oscillating systems reach a common rhythm. From a spiritual lens, it is the meeting point of desire and readiness. The message that has arrived today is an outcome of that alignment. It is not a promise, not a prophecy, but a calibration moment. You were ready to notice because your internal observer reached the threshold of coherence required to decode it. As you continue listening, remember this. You are both the sender and receiver of every message. The universe does not deliver to you, it converses through you. The frequencies you emit become the architecture of the paths that open next. Conscious attraction, then, is not a technique, but a state of participation, where awareness and matter form one continuous loop. When that understanding moves from concept to lived experience, messages like this no longer surprise you. They become natural checkpoints on your evolving path. And right now, this one is the checkpoint that tells you your frequency has changed. The universe speaks in a language most people have forgotten how to read. It doesn't send letters or lightning bolts. It speaks in repetition, timing, and pattern. When an idea or symbol crosses your path several times in short succession, a number sequence, a phrase overheard, a dream revisited, it's not merely coincidence, it's resonance made visible. These are the ripples on the surface of the quantum field that mirror the vibration of your current consciousness. Each one arrives not to impress you but to measure you, to see if you can perceive the subtle symmetry between your thoughts and the world responding to them. You might have noticed recently that something keeps looping. A song lyric repeats in different places, a name reappears on signs or in messages, or the same question keeps surfacing in conversations. The rational mind dismisses it as pattern recognition, a trick of focus. Yet, at the quantum level, awareness influences probability. What you attend to gains energy. What you ignore fades into the background noise of potential. The moment your perception aligns with meaning, the universe amplifies the signal. It doesn't force it into your life. It reflects it, like light, finding a mirror that's finally clean enough to catch the image. The reason these signs appear now, and not before, is readiness. The quantum field doesn't deliver information randomly. It synchronizes according to coherence. Until a certain threshold of attention and emotional maturity is reached, the signals are still there, but remain invisible, like radio waves around a silent receiver. Readiness is not perfection. It is sensitivity. It's the instant you begin to care about the subtle movements behind the surface of things. That sensitivity collapses possibility into pattern, revealing what was always humming beneath the noise. When numbers repeat, 11, 11, 2 and 22, 3, 3, 3, they're not magic codes, they are timestamps of alignment. Each one acts like a quantum metronome, reminding you that something in your field has reached phase coherence with a new timeline. The human nervous system senses these alignments before the intellect can explain them. That's why you feel a brief pulse of recognition, almost like déjà vu, when the pattern appears. It's the moment your internal clock and the universe's rhythm sync up for a beat. The data exchange is instantaneous. What you call meaning is the afterglow of that exchange. Decoding these signs doesn't require analysis, it requires stillness. The analytical mind fractures the signal by over-interpreting it, chasing explanations. The field doesn't care for explanations, it cares for coherence. When you notice a pattern, your task isn't to ask, what does this mean, but to feel, what am I becoming aware of right now? The first question seeks control. The second opens awareness. The universe speaks fluently only to the second kind of listener. Think of each synchronistic sign as a calibration pulse. The message isn't contained in the number or symbol itself, but in the state of consciousness it provokes. If it makes you pause, breathe, or sense a quietor, that state is the transmission. In that pause, your brain waves slow, your heart rhythm stabilizes, and your perception broadens just enough for new information to enter. That physiological change is measurable, and it's through that biological window that higher-order information is received. Sometimes, signs cluster around transitions, when you are between identities, between jobs, between beliefs. These thresholds generate instability, and the field compensates by increasing feedback. The patterns become louder not because you are special, but because you are fluid enough to be rewired. The signs are scaffolding. They stabilize the restructuring of your perception. Ignore them and the process still happens, but you move through it blind. Engage them, and you evolve with conscious participation. This is also why the universe waits until you're ready. Readiness means your system can integrate the data without collapse. Every quantum message carries energetic weight too soon, and the nervous system interprets it as chaos. At the right frequency, it translates as clarity. That is why you're hearing this now, not a year ago, not yesterday. Your field achieved the resonance necessary to decode it. The universe always transmits. The question is whether you're tuned to receive. There's a paradox here. The more you try to chase signs, the more they vanish. Observation alters probability, but obsession distorts it. The field responds to attention infused with curiosity, not desperation. True decoding happens when you let the symbol unfold itself, when you become the observer who neither clings nor dismisses. That middle state is where quantum communication thrives. You can test this directly. The next time a repeating number, image, or word appears, do nothing. Simply note it and check how your body reacts. Does your chest open or tighten? Does time seem to slow for a moment? That physiological micro-shift is the universe confirming receipt. The information is being exchanged, not in words, but in resonance. The sign has done its work. You have been measured and your awareness has expanded by 1 degree. Over time, this dialogue between you and the field becomes fluent. You begin to trust timing instead of forcing it. You stop labeling experiences as good or bad and start recognizing them as data, feedback loops revealing your current frequency. Eventually, you no longer wait for signs. Your life becomes one. Every encounter, delay, and decision feels like part of a single synchronized rhythm. That is the ultimate decoding, realizing that nothing external is delivering meaning to you. The meaning is self-generated coherence reflected back by the universe's mirror. So when the next pattern surfaces, remember, you are not being guided towards something distant. You are being shown where you already stand within the matrix of possibilities. Each repetition is a quiet nod from the universe saying, you're aligned enough to notice. And that noticing, more than the sign itself, is the true message. Every person lives inside a field of probabilities, yet most never realize how dynamic that field truly is. You're not walking through a fixed timeline. You are constantly choosing, collapsing, and recreating reality through perception. The state you're in right now, mentally, emotionally, and energetically, isn't a random snapshot. It's a cross-section of countless quantum possibilities that have converged into this specific configuration of your life. The message that has reached you today is evidence that the field around you is shifting. Something in your frequency is preparing to move from uncertainty toward coherence, from potential into embodiment. Imagine for a moment that your consciousness is a kind of lens, bending the light of infinite potential into a single visible beam called your life. When the lens is clouded by distraction or fear, the image becomes distorted. Events feel chaotic, opportunities appear out of reach, and meaning scatters. But when the lens is polished, through awareness, presence, and emotional honesty, the light focuses again and the projection sharpens. What you call progress or divine timing is simply your perception aligning with a more coherent stream of probability. You are living inside that recalibration now. At the quantum level, particles exist in superposition. They hold multiple states at once until observed. You are doing the same, only at a human scale. Part of you may still identify with the old version of your life, the patterns, the doubts, the habitual thoughts that once defined you. Another part is already vibrating at a frequency that senses change coming. The tension you feel between what is ending and what hasn't yet begun is the interference pattern of those two realities overlapping. That friction is not an error. It is the sound of transformation in motion. Many people mistake this in-between state for stagnation. It feels like waiting, like being suspended between stories. But quantum systems evolve through uncertainty. Before the new form stabilizes, the old must dissolve. The instability you sense, emotionally or circumstantially, is the field reorganizing itself around your updated vibration. What appears as confusion or delay is actually a period of superposition where multiple futures coexist, waiting for your conscious observation to select one. The question isn't, when will things change, but which version of myself am I observing right now? In moments like these, subtle synchronicities multiply because the boundaries between timelines thin. The choices you make, what you focus on, what you believe possible, begin collapsing potential paths into form. A single act of clear decision functions like a measurement in physics. It forces the wave of possibilities to materialize into one tangible outcome. That is why small choices suddenly matter more than usual. A conversation, an intuition followed, even a hesitation can tilt the entire trajectory of your unfolding. The quantum field is hypersensitive during transitional states, amplifying the signals of your consciousness with remarkable precision. You might notice dreams becoming vivid, time feeling elastic, emotions intensifying without clear cause. These are not random fluctuations. They're the field communicating that you are nearing a threshold. In quantum terms, your system is approaching coherence. Different frequencies within you are beginning to align. It often feels disorienting because the familiar structures of your identity start to dissolve. You are no longer fully the observer you once were, yet not completely the one you're becoming. This liminal zone is the chrysalis where consciousness reorganizes itself. The challenge is to remain present within the instability without trying to force premature clarity. When you demand certainty too soon, you collapse the wave before it has reached optimal alignment, and the result manifests as repetition of old patterns. But when you allow the field to oscillate freely, holding awareness without interference, it self-organizes around your most coherent intention. Think of it as allowing a symphony to find its final note before applauding. Your role is to listen, not to rush the conclusion. This stage of your journey asks for trust in what cannot yet be measured. The quantum field operates beyond linear cause and effect. The results of your inner calibration often appear first as subtle impressions. A new calm, an unfamiliar confidence, a sudden release of fear. These are the first particles collapsing. Outer events follow later, crystallizing around the energetic architecture you've built through your attention. The more consistent your observation, the faster coherence establishes itself. It's important to recognize that collapse doesn't mean the death of possibility. It means translation. Infinite potential condenses into tangible experience so that consciousness can perceive its own reflection. Each moment of awareness is both an end and a beginning, a measurement and a reset. The universe expands through these micro-collapses, and your journey mirrors that same rhythm. You are not a static observer watching a movie of your life. You are the projector, the screen, and the unfolding film simultaneously. Right now, the field around you is in flux, yet beautifully responsive. The old probability lines that no longer match your vibration are dissolving. New configurations are forming, drawn to the coherence you've begun to cultivate. The message that brought you here is one of confirmation. Your system has reached the threshold where conscious observation begins to override unconscious momentum. You are no longer carried solely by default programming. You are beginning to sculpt with awareness. If you close your eyes for a moment and feel the space around you, you might sense a quiet hum, not sound, but pressure, a density of potential. That is the quantum texture of transition. Within it, every possibility of your next chapter is encoded. You don't have to hunt for the right one. It will reveal itself through resonance. As your thoughts, emotions, and actions harmonize, the path that vibrates at that same frequency becomes visible. It isn't about predicting the future. It's about matching its signal before it arrives. This is the quantum state of your current journey, a living equation of awareness collapsing possibility into presence. The transformation isn't coming. It's already happening quietly. Through every observation you make, every breath you take, every moment you choose coherence over chaos. The universe doesn't need more effort from you. It needs clearer measurement. And with each measured breath, you are rewriting the probability code of your life. Long before your mind recognized this message, your body did. The field that surrounds you, what some call aura, resonance, or biofield, is a living archive of information. It records every intention, emotion, and thought, and it transmits signals to the quantum fabric that shapes your experiences. When this message reached you, it was not a coincidence. Your energy had already begun broadcasting a request for reflection. The answer came encoded, not in words, but in vibration. The universe responded through coherence, and this moment of reading is the meeting point between your internal frequency and its echo returning from the field. Your intuition has been speaking in small gestures for weeks, perhaps months. Maybe you felt a subtle restlessness, as though something unseen was rearranging itself beneath the surface of your life. Or perhaps your dreams have grown louder, carrying fragments of truth that vanish upon waking. These are early signals from your energetic system, soft announcements that a new alignment is forming. The intellect often misses them because it searches for logic, but intuition moves through sensation. The tightening in your chest before a decision, the sudden wave of calm when something just feels right. Those are not random chemical events. They are translations of the field's communication into bodily language. Your energy field operates as both transmitter and receiver. When you hold an intention, it radiates as a frequency pattern, a measurable electromagnetic signature. This pattern interacts with the larger quantum field, influencing the probabilities that materialize around you. In return, the universe sends data back through resonance. Sometimes that data appears as external synchronicity. Other times it arrives internally, as a sudden insight or knowing. Most people ignore this dialogue because it's subtle and non-linear, but it's happening constantly, even now as your eyes trace these words. Hidden messages in your field often take the form of contrast. The experiences that agitate you or drain you are not punishments, they're feedback. Energy seeks equilibrium, and discomfort signals where your vibration is mismatched with your deeper truth. The universe doesn't send pain to test you, it mirrors misalignment so that you can adjust the pattern. When you meet resistance, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you can ask, "What frequency am I broadcasting that this situation is reflecting?" That single shift in inquiry transforms frustration into calibration. Think of your energy field as a musical instrument that sometimes falls out of tune. The events and people in your life act as tuning forks, revealing which strings have drifted from harmony. Each interaction gives you a sonic map of your current frequency. When you encounter someone who unsettles you, they are not intruding on your peace. They are resonating with a discordant note within you. The discomfort is the sound of your own instrument begging to be retuned. Hidden messages rarely arrive as comfort. They appear as friction designed to restore coherence. Your intuition already knows this language. It senses resonance instantly, often before you can articulate why. You might walk into a space and feel expansion or contraction, even when nothing visible explains it. The body's electromagnetic field detects coherence at a subconscious level. Science has measured how the heart's field extends several feet beyond the body, communicating information faster than the brain can process. When your heart synchronizes with a vibration that matches its rhythm, you experience what you call truth. When it encounters incoherence, it produces anxiety or confusion. The sensations are messages, not malfunctions. You have been asking for confirmation without realizing it. Questions whispered internally. Am I on the right path? Is this the right time? Send waves into the quantum field. The response comes not as a voice, but as pattern. An encounter, a phrase, a feeling that carries the resonance of recognition. The message you're reading now may be one of those responses. It arrived through a channel your logical mind couldn't predict, because logic travels slower than intuition. Energy communicates instantaneously through entanglement. It doesn't need explanation, only recognition. If you listen closely, you can trace how your energetic field has been preparing for this moment. In recent times, you may have released old attachments or experienced sudden clarity about what no longer serves you. Each release expanded your field, allowing higher frequencies of information to enter. That expansion attracted this message as confirmation. The universe doesn't send applause, it sends mirrors. What you perceive here is your own alignment reflected back through another voice. To work consciously with these hidden messages, stillness is essential. The field speaks in vibration, and silence amplifies sensitivity. When you pause and breathe deeply, the electromagnetic rhythm of your heart stabilizes, creating a coherent waveform that extends into your environment. In that state, intuition becomes louder and more accurate. You begin to feel the difference between emotional noise and authentic signal. The message you seek will never compete for attention. It will always arrive in stillness, often as the quiet knowing that requires no explanation. Hidden messages also emerge through the body's micro-movements. Notice how your breath changes as you make choices. The body always responds to truth with expansion and to distortion with constriction. Each decision carries a measurable frequency, and your physical form translates that data in real time. This is why intuitive clarity feels like relief, and deception feels heavy. The field communicates through sensation long before thought can interpret it. Right now, your energy field is broadcasting coherence stronger than before. The proof is that you found this message and felt recognition instead of resistance. That feeling is your field's confirmation pulse. It says, "I've been waiting for this information to surface." It's not about absorbing new knowledge, but remembering what was dormant within you. Your intuition already contained the map. This encounter simply illuminated it. So as you move forward, consider every interaction a potential messenger. The people you meet, the delays, the sudden inspirations, they all belong to the choreography of your field. When you listen from the body instead of the mind, you begin to translate energy into understanding. The hidden messages become visible, not through decoding symbols, but through embodying awareness. That is how intuition graduates into guidance, and resonance becomes navigation. The truth is, you didn't stumble upon this moment, you summoned it. Your field called and the universe responded in its native language, frequency. And now, through recognition, you're answering back, completing the circuit. Every thought you generate is not just mental noise. It is a quantum impulse, a microscopic vibration that ripples through the field of reality. The universe isn't a distant machine responding to requests. It's an interactive fabric that bends around consciousness. When you think, you send a signal. When you feel, you amplify that signal. And when thought and emotion merge with intention, the field organizes itself to mirror that frequency and form. Manifestation isn't magic, it's resonance mechanics. The questions you've been asking lately, those quiet, unspoken ones, have already begun shaping probabilities around you. Whether you asked for clarity, peace, or a sign, your consciousness transmitted a measurable pattern. The moment you released the question, the universe began searching for coherence points through which the answer could arrive. Sometimes those answers take the shape of people, sometimes events, sometimes words like the ones you're reading now. What feels like guidance is often the field aligning itself to your inquiry. The process begins long before any visible result. When you set an intention, your brain forms neural pathways that encode possibility. Those circuits, repeated often enough, alter your body's electromagnetic field. The heart then broadcasts that new signal into the environment, synchronizing with external patterns that match its rhythm. You don't attract outcomes through wanting. You synchronize with them through consistent frequency. The universe is not withholding, it is matching. Every delay is a question of coherence, not punishment. Many people confuse desire with direction. Desire reaches outward, direction radiates inward. When you fixate on a goal with tension, you create interference in the signal. The field reads it as static. But when you hold an intention lightly, with curiosity and gratitude, the frequency becomes clean and manifestation accelerates. Thought becomes matter not through strain, but through alignment. The most effective manifestors are rarely the most forceful thinkers. They are the most coherent observers. The connection between thought and manifestation can be tested in real life. Reflect on the last few days. How many of your recent experiences seem to echo an inner question or fear? Reality often mirrors the dominant tone of your attention. If you constantly project anxiety, the field reorganizes to confirm that vibration. But when you shift focus toward clarity and openness, small evidences of alignment start appearing almost instantly. These are not coincidences. They're feedback loops indicating that your signal has changed phase. There is also a neurological component to this process. The brain's reticular activating system filters sensory information according to emotional significance. When you repeatedly focus on a specific thought or feeling, your biology literally edits perception to highlight data that validates it. What you call manifestation often begins as recognition, the sudden ability to see opportunities that were invisible while you vibrated at a different state. The quantum field doesn't need to create something new. It reveals what your frequency can finally perceive. This is why conscious thinking is not about control, but participation. You are not forcing reality into shape. You are entering a dance of frequencies where thought, emotion, and observation form a triad of creative force. The universe responds not to what you say you want, but to what you consistently radiate. If your words express faith but your vibration carries doubt, the field obeys the latter. Integrity of thought and feeling is the language of creation. Right now, as you absorb these words, your field is subtly tuning. You're remembering that every idea you hold acts as an architect of potential. The questions you pose are blueprints. The emotions you cultivate are materials. And your attention, the steady awareness you bring, is the builder. When these elements harmonize, manifestation becomes less about effort and more about inevitability. At some level, this message itself is part of your manifestation. You asked for understanding, for evidence that the universe listens, and here it is, a reflection answering back in perfect timing. That's not coincidence, it's correspondence. The field matched your vibration and translated it into language you could receive. Before moving on, take a slow breath and think about one thought you've been repeating lately. Ask yourself with honesty whether it carries expansion or contraction. That thought is already sculpting the probabilities that will solidify around you in the days ahead. You have the power to shift it, not by suppressing it, but by retuning it with intention. And if this understanding resonated with you, let the exchange complete itself. Tap the energy of reciprocity. Leave a trace of coherence in the space where this message lives. Like this video to anchor your resonance, and in the comments, write the sentence, "My thoughts are tuning into alignment." That single declaration is more than digital text. It's your conscious signal to the field that you're ready to manifest from clarity instead of chance. Something subtle begins to happen when you start observing your life as a dialogue instead of a sequence of random events. Possibilities, once invisible, begin to shimmer around the edges of your awareness. It's not that they suddenly appear. It's that your perception becomes fine-tuned enough to recognize them. Awakening to new possibilities is less about creating something new and more about seeing what was always waiting for you at a higher frequency of awareness. At this stage of your journey, the quantum field around you is expanding its responsiveness. Every decision, every emotional adjustment, sends new coordinates into the matrix of potential futures. What was once improbable starts feeling natural. The boundaries between the possible and the impossible are not fixed laws, but agreements you made with your past self. As soon as you begin questioning those agreements, new doors start to materialize, not through fantasy, but through reconfiguration of perspective. Quantum physics teaches that potential realities exist simultaneously until observation collapses one into form. Spiritually, that means multiple versions of your life are coexisting right now, each resonating at a slightly different frequency. When you shift your inner state, through thought, gratitude, or a sudden release of fear, you alter which version becomes visible. Every act of courage, every moment of letting go, moves you across invisible thresholds. Awakening is not an event, but a continuous migration between realities. You might notice the first signs of this shift as restlessness. Certain environments or relationships begin to feel too small for who you are becoming. Old goals lose their magnetism, replaced by vague but powerful impulses you can't yet define. That uncertainty is a signal that you're standing before a quantum doorway. The new reality has already begun broadcasting its invitation. Your intuition senses it before your intellect can explain it. The tension between the known and the emerging unknown is the sound of that door unlocking. The challenge is to resist the urge to interpret the unknown too quickly. When you rush to name or plan it, you narrow the wave of possibilities prematurely. Let the new frequency unfold organically. Stay curious, not conclusive. In this openness, the universe can introduce options that your linear mind would never have engineered. Awakening happens when surrender meets participation, when you stop demanding proof and start listening to subtle guidance moving through sensation, synchronicity, and timing. Every possibility begins as a feeling. Before it becomes visible, it knocks softly through intuition. You might feel drawn to explore a new idea or revisit an old dream that once seemed impossible. These impulses are not distractions. They're transmissions from your expanded field. Energy moves faster than logic, and by the time your mind catches up, the new path is already forming. Acting on those intuitions, even in small ways, creates quantum leverage. A single inspired action can shift the entire geometry of your life. Think of reality as a sea of doorways floating in front of you. Each doorway vibrates with a distinct tone, waiting for resonance. When your frequency matches the tone, the door opens effortlessly. That's why forcing change often leads to frustration. It's like trying to open a door whose key you haven't yet tuned to. But the moment you align emotionally and mentally with the new possibility, the door unlocks of its own accord. The field responds not to your effort, but to your readiness. Awakening also requires the courage to release outdated attachments. The doors to new realities can't open while you're still gripping the handle of the old ones. Many people mistake this release for loss, but in quantum terms, it's conservation of energy. When you let go, you free bandwidth for the next frequency to stabilize. It's an energetic exchange, one potential dissolving so another can solidify. This is how timelines shift, not through grand gestures, but through quiet permissions you grant yourself to evolve. The moment you start operating from this awareness, your daily reality changes texture. You begin to notice alignments that feel orchestrated with precision. Encounters, opportunities, and timing all seem to synchronize. This isn't luck, it's coherence. Your personal vibration is resonating with the larger intelligence of the field, and that alignment produces flow. In that flow, you realize that destiny is not predetermined. It's continually negotiated by your state of consciousness. Awakening to new possibilities isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering the versions of yourself that already exist across the field of potential. You are not evolving into something new. You are tuning into a self that has been waiting for your awareness to catch up. That realization brings profound peace. The journey stops being about striving and becomes about listening. If you pay attention, you can feel it even now. A quiet pulse of anticipation, as though life itself is leaning toward you, ready to collaborate. That sensation is the whisper of new timelines forming. Trust that feeling. It's your confirmation that you're standing at the threshold of expansion, ready to step through the next open door that only coherence can reveal. Awareness without embodiment is only potential energy. The moment you realize that your reality is responsive, a choice appears: to let this understanding fade into abstraction or to integrate it through deliberate movement. The quantum field doesn't respond to theory, it calibrates to lived vibration. Every insight that enters your awareness carries a half-life. It remains powerful only as long as you translate it into motion. The information you're absorbing now is an activation code, but its effect depends entirely on how you let it reshape your next breath, your next decision, your next small act. When new understanding arrives, the field around you becomes momentarily unstable, open to recalibration. It's similar to molten metal just before it cools. Whatever shape you impress upon it now becomes the structure of your next phase. The hours and days following this realization are crucial. What you choose to feel, think, and enact will determine how deeply this frequency anchors into your timeline. Immediate action doesn't mean rushing. It means engaging consciously with the vibration that has already begun to move through you. Start by grounding the energy. When you integrate new awareness, your nervous system must adjust to the increased coherence. Stillness is not passivity here, it's stabilization. Breathe slowly, letting your attention sink into the body. Notice how thought begins to quiet, how the field around you feels thicker, charged. In that silence, the message settles from concept into embodiment. The universe mirrors your inner organization, so stabilizing your energy is the first act of manifestation. From that centered place, you will sense impulses, subtle nudges toward communication, creation, or change. These are the threads of probability that have just been activated by your new state of consciousness. Follow one. Don't wait for proof or perfect timing. The quantum field favors momentum over hesitation. Even a small act, writing a sentence, making a call, rearranging your workspace, creates ripples that signal to the field that your awareness has moved from contemplation to creation. Reality listens to movement. Taking action doesn't always mean doing something visible. Sometimes it's an internal permission, an energetic adjustment that releases resistance. The field responds equally to intention and behavior because both carry frequency. If your intuition tells you to rest, that is also an action. It's how your system integrates higher-order information. What matters is the consciousness behind it. The question is never what should I do, but what energy am I choosing to embody right now? This phase also calls for discernment. When awareness expands, external noise tends to increase. People, media, and even memories may rush in to test whether your frequency remains stable. Each distraction is a feedback signal, asking if you will collapse back into old patterns or maintain coherence. Your task is to keep your focus anchored in presence, to respond instead of react. In doing so, you teach the universe how to read your new vibration. You may notice that certain habits or environments suddenly feel incompatible. This dissonance is natural. As your field upgrades, lower frequency dynamics lose their grip. It's not rejection, it's recalibration. Allow relationships, routines, and thought patterns to reorganize without resistance. The energy you free up becomes the raw material for the next iteration of your reality. The more gently you release what no longer aligns, the faster new structures form in its place. In the coming days, you will receive subtle confirmations that your immediate actions have created ripples. It might arrive as ease where there was once friction, or an unexpected opportunity aligning without effort. These are indicators that the universe has acknowledged your movement. Reality is a responsive mirror. Once it detects coherence, it multiplies it. Understand that immediate action doesn't have to be dramatic. The most profound shifts often begin with simple awareness, applied consistently. Choosing to speak truthfully in one conversation, to observe a moment of gratitude before sleep, or to pause before reacting, all of these are quantum actions. They recalibrate your probability field because they modify the vibration of the observer. Every micro-act of consciousness compounds into macro manifestation. Right now, the field around you is highly impressionable. You are standing in a window of plasticity where thought, emotion, and behavior can rewrite the geometry of your future experiences. Let the insight you've received today become kinetic, translated into form through deliberate awareness. If you do nothing else, do this. Act as though coherence is already established and watch the field reorganize to confirm it. The message that found you was not meant to be admired, it was meant to be embodied. The quantum universe doesn't respond to those who understand, it responds to those who align. Your awareness is the spark, but your action is the current that carries it into the world. You have already begun the process by recognizing that this moment is significant. The next step is to live as if you believe it. Once a new frequency has been integrated, the universe begins responding with precision. You will notice confirmations appearing, not because the cosmos suddenly favors you, but because your perception has reached the level where feedback becomes visible. The signs of alignment are not theatrical, they're subtle, rhythmic, and precise. They appear as ordinary moments charged with unmistakable familiarity, as if reality were winking at you in acknowledgement. The first confirmation often arrives as a sense of ease. Circumstances that once demanded effort begin to unfold naturally, as if invisible hands were adjusting the scenery around you. What you used to chase starts gravitating toward you instead. This doesn't mean challenges disappear, rather, they start to feel purposeful. The friction that remains carries clarity instead of confusion. You can sense direction within contrast, a silent assurance that the field is actively collaborating with your evolution. Time begins to behave differently too. You might experience perfect timing more often. The call you needed arrives as you think of it. The right message appears at the right moment. These are not coincidences, but synchronization events, small demonstrations of coherence between inner intention and outer manifestation. When you are in phase with the field, delays shorten, opportunities find you, and you start living inside a rhythm that feels orchestrated by intelligence larger than logic. Physical sensations may confirm this alignment as well. You could feel warmth in the chest, tingling in the hands, or an almost magnetic pull towards certain choices. These somatic signals are your body's way of translating quantum feedback into sensory language. The field communicates through vibration, and your nervous system is its instrument. When the message resonates, the instrument hums. Learn to trust that subtle vibration. It's often more reliable than the mind's analysis. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, you might experience what seem like coincidences clustering around a single theme. A phrase repeats, a symbol reappears, or different people deliver similar messages. These repetitions are coherence markers. They indicate that your awareness is successfully sustaining the new frequency. If you can observe these patterns without obsessing over their meaning, you'll feel their true purpose: to validate that you're tuned correctly, not to predict the future. There is also an emotional confirmation that emerges during alignment, a steady calm, even in uncertainty. It's the quiet confidence that everything is arranging itself according to intelligence beyond your control. Anxiety loosens its grip, replaced by trust that doesn't rely on evidence. This inner equilibrium is not complacency, it's resonance. When your frequency harmonizes with the field, you stop battling outcomes. Instead, you participate in their unfolding with presence and precision. You'll notice relationships shifting too. Some connections deepen instantly, as though an invisible bridge has been restored. Others begin to fade, their conversations losing charge or relevance. This reconfiguration is not loss. It's the field refining coherence. People who share your new frequency naturally remain in orbit, while those who resonate with past versions of you drift away. The most graceful response is acceptance, recognizing that the field is editing your environment to support your next evolution. Dreams may also become more vivid, carrying symbols that echo your waking experiences. The subconscious uses the dream state as a testing ground for new frequencies, running simulations of alignment before they manifest physically. Waking with strong emotion after such dreams is a sign that your system is integrating deeper layers of the transformation. Treat those emotions as evidence, not as puzzles to decode. Confirmation sometimes hides within contrast. When you experience temporary setbacks or emotional surges, it doesn't mean alignment is lost. It means the new vibration is flushing out residue from the old one. The universe tests coherence by presenting situations that used to destabilize you. When you respond differently, reality recognizes the upgrade. The shift is verified not by the absence of challenge, but by the evolution of your response. As these confirmations unfold, gratitude becomes your amplifier. The moment you acknowledge even the smallest synchronicity, its frequency expands. Appreciation acts like a feedback loop, magnifying coherence in the field. This is why miracles seem to multiply for those who notice them. Awareness is fuel. The universe reflects the degree to which you honor its signals. Soon you will realize that the signs are not separate from you. They are extensions of your consciousness, reflections of your participation in the quantum dialogue. The message that reached you earlier was only the first wave of acknowledgement. Now the universe continues the conversation through these tangible cues, teaching you how to interpret its rhythm. So, as you step into the next few days, move slowly and pay attention. The field is alive with response. Every repetition, every gentle convergence, every sense of ease is a handshake between you and the intelligence shaping your path. The signs are not coming to prove something. They are coming to confirm that you are, at last, in harmonic dialogue with the universe that has been speaking to you all along. You didn't encounter this message by chance. Every word, every pause, every thought that rose within you while listening was part of a quantum conversation already in progress. The same field that shaped your questions orchestrated this response, aligning timing, attention, and awareness into a single moment of recognition. You are not being told something new, you are remembering what your deeper intelligence has always known. Reality mirrors the coherence you embody. From here, the transformation continues each time you choose presence over distraction, trust over fear, and awareness over doubt. If you've reached this point, write in the comments, "I'm in quantum alignment," so I'll know you stayed with the message until the end. And if this resonated, subscribe to the channel to keep expanding with more content like this. Each video, a new step in your unfolding awareness.